All right, let's get to game predictions and the Pac-12 Prime Picks in this game. In every game. There are just 4 this week, which, I don't love. I wish there were more. I like doing 5 Pac-12 Prime Picks a week. Hopefully, I can put together a 3-1. I'm off a 3-2 week. I'm a game under 500 on the year. So a 3-1, dare I say a 4-0 week, could go a long way in helping me get to my goal of, at least over 50%, but really mid to upper 50s on the season. Let's start with the biggest game of the week. Washington State at UCLA. Cam Ward, Dante Moore. Advantage Cam Ward. Jake Dickert, Chip Kelly. We'll call that a draw. Defensive lines, both really good. And we'll kind of call that a draw. Both defenses have been good this year. So when I look around and I see 2 offensive lines that are okay but not great, UCLA's got dominated against Utah. Washington State's has been good in pass protection. They don't run the football amazingly well, and they're going up against a gnarly front 4 in UCLA, led by Laiatu Latu, who I'm a huge, huge fan of. And eventually this comes down to, well, wait a minute. If a lot of these things are equal, and you don't have a huge home field advantage at UCLA, I mean, there'll be a crowd. It'll be a decent environment, but it's not going to be ruckus and rowdy. It won't be anything like you go up against at Martin Stadium up in Pullman. Won't be anything like Rice-Eccles. Certainly not. I am tempted to look at Vegas and say, Vegas knows something. They're making UCLA a 3.5-point favorite here for a reason. Last time a Pac-12 team was a 3.5-point favorite at home against a top 15 opponent was Washington of last year, and it was an easy cover for the Dogs. This is an instance in which I think Vegas is overvaluing UCLA's home field advantage. I think they are wrong for making Washington State the underdog here, and I think this continues, and Cam Ward is the reason why. If UCLA gets after him, he still has the ability to get outside the pocket. He hasn't turned the ball over yet this year. He's been so good. You cannot undersell how good he's been. So I look at what UCLA was able to do against Utah a couple weeks ago and say, look, even if they do that against Washington State, sometimes Cam Ward can just make plays that Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson cannot. I think the Cougars go into UCLA, get their statement victory, win it outright, Cougs 30, UCLA 23. So I will, of course, take Washington State plus 3.5 in this game. Nice to get over a field goal for sure. That half-point hook working in the Cougs' favor, but I like them to win the game outright. So I'm on Washington State there plus 3.5. Down to the desert in Tempe, where Arizona State is playing for the 4th time in their first 5 games. The 5th time in their first 6 games. Do I have that right? Yeah, I think I do have that right. So Arizona State played their first 4 games at home. They go on the road. They lose to Cal. Now they're coming back home. It's just a 4.5-point dog. Vegas thinks this is a winnable game for the Sun Devils. I don't disagree. I talked yesterday on my range of outcomes segment that I feel like Arizona State, if all things go well and their defense plays really well, they can win the football game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Colorado's offense has got 3 legit weapons. Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quarterback. The offensive line is bad, but they found something running the football last week. It was against USC. Sure, you're going up against a better defense overall to this point in the season in Arizona State. But I like Colorado's offense, and their firepower is way more than what Arizona State has got. And even on the road, where normally I'd have a question, say, I don't know, can they do it away from Folsom Field? Look at what they did at Autzen Stadium. That wasn't good. Hold on. People who have that thought and want to say, no, Colorado's not good. Colorado won't do X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. Where did they go the first week? Oh, that's right. They went to Fort Worth, to an environment that is going to be much more ruckus than what they'll face, or that was much more ruckus and rowdy and rambunctious, whatever other word you want to use in there, than what they will face down in Tempe, where Kenny Dillingham has been kind of imploring fans to show up, to activate the Valley, to get there. Maybe Colorado gets them there. But regardless, it's not going to match a week 1 atmosphere against a TCU team, preseason top 20 off a national championship run, compared to an Arizona State team that has lost on this very field to Fresno State 29-0. Colorado is capable of playing well on the road. They went and beat TCU, who's better than Arizona State on the road. I think they win this game. I don't think they blow them out. The line tells me that Vegas knows something, which is Arizona State's better than people think, or Colorado's not as good as people think, or maybe they just don't think it's a good matchup. But I like this number. This is my favorite pick of the week. Colorado minus 4.5. I've got the Buffs 34, Arizona State 24. They get it done down in Tempe. Oregon State on the road this week. Oregon State on the road last couple seasons. Different team than Oregon State at home. Fact check true. Also fact check. Cal has, developed this nice little running battle with Stanford for who can have the worst home environment. Cal last week didn't have a whole heck of a lot in terms of fan support against Arizona State. They did against Auburn when an SEC team was in town. They had 45,000 there. It was awesome. But for everybody else, you think Oregon State's moving the needle? I'm going to go with no. I mean, last week on the farm, Oregon fans outnumbered Stanford fans. That's how it appeared on television, at least. So this is not a massive home field advantage. Oregon State has to go on the road. There are difficult elements of that, sure. Beavs are favored by 9.5. Big number to swallow on the road. I'm going to do so here. I've got the Beavs winning 27-13. I just look at what it takes to beat this Oregon State team, and you have to be able to throw the football. Look at the teams that have beaten them the last couple of years. Washington last year can throw the ball. USC last year can throw the ball. Like, just keep going down the list. Washington State earlier this year can throw the football. That is not Cal's strength. They're at their best when the passing game is competent enough. Sam Jackson's not going for 330 yards and 3 scores here. I think Cal only puts up 1 offensive touchdown and a couple field goals. And I think Oregon State, look, I don't know that DJU is going to, suddenly have this massive game against Cal's defense, because I think Wilcox is a solid defensive coach with some good players, and they played well last week against Arizona State. But I think the Bees' run game can be enough here to get over that 9.5 point threshold. Oregon State 27, Cal 13. Bees cover the 9.5. I'll swallow it. Lastly here, to round out the Pac-12 Prime Picks this week, the game that I have dubbed unlosable for USC. I hope those words don't come back to haunt me, Trojan fans. I don't believe they will. USC has lost to Utah twice and Tulane in the Lincoln Riley era. That's it. And yeah, they could have lost last week. They also could have covered. They were up 41-14 at one point, and then the defense struck for the Trojans, and they just let up and weren't able to contain the Colorado offense, and we saw how that all played out. But bottom line, Lincoln Riley, you go look at his time at Oklahoma, he rarely lost games like this. And I don't think he's going to lose it here. Arizona's been playing some good football this year. They have. They played well against Washington last week, held the Huskies to their lowest point total of the season. They played ball control. They were able to do enough defensively. They forced a turnover down in the red zone. I like what I'm seeing from Arizona. I feel good about having picked them to go to a bowl game this year. They're sitting at 3-2, and they played well. This is on the road, though. If it were at home, I'd give them more of a chance, but this is on the road against USC. I just can't get behind that Trojans defense. Even at home, 21.5. Failed to cover it last week on the road. Could they do it this week at home? I think Arizona's a little bit more of a complete team than Colorado. Their defense is better. And Arizona's offense, clearly capable. Clearly capable. USC's defense, not capable to this point. USC wins. I don't think they have too much of a problem here. Maybe get an early scare, but eventually they ratchet it up. 41-27, Arizona covers 21.5. So, prime picks for the week. Washington State plus 3.5, Colorado minus 4.5, Oregon State minus 9.5, and Arizona State plus 21.5 in every game this week. Who's ready for a great weekend of football? Me, I am. Hope you are too.